Hello everyone, it's Simone from Epica, and this is Interview Under Fire.
And now we rise, we fly across the divide. I want us to go back in time, change all moments lost in the tide, taking back control. Across the divide. I want us to go back in time, change all moments lost in the tide.
All right, hey there, everyone. We are here with a new edition of Interview Under Fire. This is your beloved host, Sunny, back here once again. Today, I am so thrilled to welcome back, actually, the majestically talented Simone Simons. Simone, great to do this again. Always great to have you here on IUF, so thank you. Bedankt, if I'm saying that verbiage correctly.
Perfect.
We're coming up on a big moment of the year for you and the rest of the guys over at the mighty Epica with the release of your ninth album now, Aspiral. Did I say that right too? Um,
Yeah, don't pronounce it as ass, but aspirant.
Okay, let
Otherwise, I
the
just need you
let
to
the
butt in front of
listeners, yeah, you heard it from Simone, so that's how you pronounce it. And I was like, yeah, that's probably not the way you say it. But that drops on April 11th on Nuclear Blast Records. I do want to congratulate you on not only the amazing reception your singles have been getting so far, but Simone, 22 years of Epica. I'm not trying to make you feel old, but not easy to do for that time span. And I mean, a lot to talk about this record. Before we get to everything, right? It's been a minute. I mentioned it's been about 4 or 5 years since we last got together and talked about what we love most about the music. You've been busy. How are you? I don't think I asked you that yet. How's 2025? Let's exhale. We got some catching up to do. How's everything?
Yeah. Everything's great. I'm on the fast train with Epica now. I last year I basically wrote, recorded two albums. So I also had
Yes, you
my
did.
solo album Vermilion, and right after that, I immediately went into the writing camps for Epica for a Spiral. And 2024 was a crazy year. I'm still trying to catch my breath whenever I can from that year. Well, this year started good because I had a big birthday party because I had my 40th birthday party, which was really nice. And now I have
Yeah.
something to look forward to, and that's the release of a Spiral, an album that I'm very proud of the whole band. And last year we also had these huge shows with choir and orchestra in Amsterdam and in Mexico City. That was a big project. And we did this song, The Ghost in Me, a cover
hmm
song, Dance Macabre for Dutch Amusement Park. So yeah, things have been really good.
I think busy is an understatement. Did you do that typical thing these days where you say goodbye to your 30s and then do the death of my 30s and I don't know if you did anything like that,
No,
especially.
no, not at all. I mean, you're as old as you feel. And of course, when you say 20, it's 23 years of Epica now. It's a long
Yeah,
time, more than half of my life. But on a good day, I feel like 17, and on a bad day, I feel like 85. So it doesn't matter. Age is just a number. It's how you
sure.
feel. And I'm very happy and lucky to be alive, happy and well.
No, that's great to hear. And hey, it sounds like you're finding a balance between the two also. And and I know we're on that topic, but isn't it kind of nice also someone to releasing an album that's not during a pandemic? Because I remember Omega dropped in the middle of all this. That's still in my
Yeah.
rotation today. I absolutely love that album, but I feel like the vibes are a little different. Would you feel the same way? I mean, I mentioned how you mentioned how busy you were.
Yeah, I think Omega, the end of the recordings of the album, that's when the pandemic hit. And then I had to
hmm
record my vocals somewhere close to home because I couldn't travel to the Netherlands. But back then we had no idea what's going on with the world, what's happening. But we are still here, stronger than ever before. And
Sure.
the Spiral, we wanted to reinvent Epica, renew our sound, and yeah, bring all the experience that we have gathered all our lives and pour it into this album.
During that time span, I know it's not easy to accomplish what you have done in that time frame because you've headlined, world festivals. You've also won music awards along the way. And being a staple in, at least from my perspective, in heavy metal, you've made a name for yourself. Are you someone who looks back on the early days when all this began for you? Because you've come a long way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going through all my Epica memorabilia because for the celebration of the album release, we're going to do something that's called the release experience. It's going to be like a little Epica museum, a live Q&A with the fans
That's so
in two
cool.
locations in Holland and one in France, Paris
Yeah.
and Utrecht. And yeah, look, we have these old fan magazines that a group of fans made back in the day. And I remember the guys and me, we were writing little articles for that. And then the photos that are in there, just, we were babies back then and
Hmm.
had no clue that I thought maybe, I was a high school dropout. I decided to go for the music. And back then I thought, well, if it doesn't work out, I go study something, find a job. But Epica has been my university and is my job. So yeah, it's
And I
crazy.
am grateful for to hear that too, because look what's happened since then. I do want to keep the spotlight on you. I know you're originally Dutch, but you have such an immense range, Simone. If anyone doesn't know, please go check out Epica's entire discography and her solo album Vermilion. It's a thing of beauty. I don't know if you get a
Thank
chance to
you.
talk about this as much. No, thank you. I mean, your influences, whether they're personal or professional, who are they, and I guess what do they mean to you?
My influences or inspiration, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
Both.
I guess
If you
from
can briefly talk about that.
for the last 11 years, I would say that's my son. When you
That's
become a
amazing.
parent as a musician, you're, I think, in general already, but the musician lifestyle is quite different to many other jobs out there. Your perspective changes on life and your priorities shift, of course.
Hmm.
Um, but for me, life in general is my source of inspiration, and I go through life with not trying to think too much. Doesn't always work, but I'm guided by my own intuition in a way and my passion for music. And when the guys write songs, those are my inspirations to write lyrics for and create vocal lines for that. And getting to work with so many talented musicians is also very inspirational.
Yeah, it's probably not easy to like just pinpoint one thing, right? And that's your source. But hey, shout out to, your son, of course, I feel like being the focal point of all this. I feel like it really changes the way you see things. And my older brother's a teacher, so I sometimes for second grade, and I'm like a guest for his class, and it's really cool to interact with all these kids who have these dreams. I remember the other day we were reading like a hockey book, like a children's hockey book for these kids, and they were just asking all these questions. You get to really see like what they look forward to in their life. It really changes your perspective on how you see things, even as you get older. So,
Mhm.
thank you for sharing that. I love that answer. And one of the things that really brings out the best in you and Simone, Epica is to me, it's one of the best bands anyone can see live. All right, so I challenge anyone to disagree with me, but mentioning the festivals ranging from like Hellfest to Wacken and beyond, you guys even performed on the M72 tour, and I mentioned that you guys performed in here in Dallas in 2022 at Sabaton. That was my favorite shows that year. But
Mhm.
the point I'm trying to make is, what is it about live music that really brings out the best in you? Because I feel like out of anything you've done in your life, this is where you really are in your element. Because you connect with fans on a whole different level that you may not be able to connect with anywhere else.
Yeah, I personally enjoy the live shows very much, unless I'm extremely jet lagged, sleep deprived, or sick as a dog. Um, and I think also that's when Epica really can be truly Epica. I
Hmm.
think as beautiful as the music sounds on the album, I think you have to experience Epica live in order to really feel it and
Agreed.
see it and in every cell of your body. And I think the guys and me, we have fun on stage and people see that and that we goof around, we, try to do the best performance we can and we interact a lot with the crowd and yeah, it's for me one of the best things of being in the band is traveling in the world and interacting with fans and doing and sing. It's
Yeah.
it's the best feeling.
I wonder, you got some tour dates coming up. I knew you're coming to the US just for 3 dates,
Yeah.
but I'm
Mhm.
intrigued. I'm going to do a little pre-tour prep here. What are some essentials that you have to bring with you on the road? Could be just one thing that if you want, if you can mention that, because I always have some interesting answers about this question. Because artists would say like, I bring a stuffed animal with me, or a piece of or a piece of cloth with me, something
Mhm.
that could also affect the mental health aspects positively. So
Mhm.
there's a wide range of answers, but what do you bring with you that you have to have on the road?
Well, if you don't think about my ear monitor, that's something, that's part of the stage setup. It would be my sleeping earplugs because for a singer, good
Yeah.
sleep is everything. So I have custom made sleep earplugs that I sleep with always,
Hmm.
and I need to have them with me because I'm a light sleeper, unfortunately, and that really has helped me sleep better, and that's great for the voice.
Do you ever end up with those sleeping ear aids, like even when you're at home?
I sleep at home with the earplugs as well.
Really? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So I guess it helps you get used to it. So that's a very cool fact. You talked about interacting with your fans. I'm gonna name four words out to you, okay? Earth, water, wood, fire. What are
Hmm.
those, you might ask? Because well, those are titles and levels within your Patreon that your dedicated fans and supporters can join in and get behind the scenes and sneak peek into the music you're working on, and so much more. Of course, photography being one of them, which is really cool to see. I love that you do that. But Simone, you built this strong community with your fans and followers with this creative art that you put out, and which we'll touch on more here in a second. But I gotta get your perspective on this because for as long as you've been doing it, with the rise of these fan supported platforms, do you see this becoming a bigger part on how musicians or even artists stay creative and sustain their careers in the future, or has it already become that?
Well, for me, um, I'm not one of the first nor one of the latest to do it. I think I started 2021 on Halloween, very fitting.
Oh, nice.
And um, I was in touch with Charlotte. She's one of my friends, and I asked her a lot about, how is that whole thing because it was still quite new and unexplored for me yet. And I had my blog, Simone Style. I was very
Yes.
active on all social media platforms, and I was putting in so much work besides working for Epica. And I thought maybe I should try Patreon also because then you know that the people really are there to support you,
Hmm.
not some evil online trolls. Because
They're out there though, still. Yeah.
YouTube and Instagram can be vile. And I also had struggles with Facebook. My account was deleted, my Twitter got hacked, and I thought, I'm so done with this, I'm gonna do the bare minimum.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm gonna also try the Patreon where I could, for example, also do cover songs of songs that I love and explore my photography passion more. And one of my goals is to make my own coffee table photo book with my photography. It's where I can geek out. So I post a lot of videos where I talk about camera gear. I do monthly Q&As. I do live hangouts, and it's so much fun. And the people there are really nice. And yeah, that is something that is kind of sustainable and it gives you something back for your creativity and your time and energy. And you don't have to read comments of people that just want to write something nasty because they're not happy with their life. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's like a safe space. It's a really lovely community. And I'm going to do another live hangout this Saturday. I'm looking forward to that.
Let me add on to that. You may have a new Patreon after this, by the way. And number two, I want to give a shout out to also Charlotte Wessels because she's been on my podcast a couple times. The sweetest human being. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, she's
We
a
talked
cutie.
and we talked about she dropped the obsession and you guest starred in it. We talked about that experience too on our podcast. But anyway, it was just amazing. She's been on her own since her departure from Delane. But the camaraderie that you have with her, I'm just gonna shout out to her. She's an amazing person and her Patreon. So I thought it was really important to ask you about it because there were these similarities that
Mhm.
you both
Yeah,
had.
we
And
worked together also. Of course, I sang on her album from the
yep,
song Dopamine.
great
And,
song.
then I also make a lot of behind the scenes photos, videos. That's something that I put on the Patreon as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of exclusive material. And Charlotte and I are going on tour together with Amaranth in Europe next year. So
I
that's a lot of,
know. I'm gonna have
and
to.
I
Oh,
love her solo material a lot more than, of course, I also like Delane, but we never really toured together. And then when she started bringing out her solo
mhm.
stuff, I thought this is really cool. So I reached out to her and we connected, and then we did a cover of Imogen Heap's Hide and Seek, and I joined her on live hangouts, and we did for Epica. We also have a Epica Universe, which is the online fan community. It's also hosted on Patreon, and we did podcasts there, and I had Charlotte as a guest on one of the podcasts. So yeah, she's a creative centipede as well. And yeah, love spending time with her. So I'm very excited about the tour because Amaranth, Elise is one of my best friends.
Yep.
It's even more fun to go on tour when you have a couple of your girlfriends on tour as well.
I feel like you three are inseparable. I've had Elise on the show too. She's such a goofball though. I love.
Yeah, yeah,
She's
yeah.
such one of the funniest guests I've ever had. But you, Charlotte, and Elise, and when I saw that tour, I'm like, oh, Europe always gets the best tours. We never have something like that in the US. I might have to just go out there. I just got my new passport, so I may just have to actually go out there and watch you guys do your thing on tour. Um,
Yeah,
and
come to Amsterdam. Then we play in the Ziggo Dome. It's gonna be a
I'll be there.
massive show.
Shoot, don't have to tell me twice. But I'm gonna put the link down there too once this interview drops to patreon.com/Simone Simons. So please check out her. You heard it here. If that's not enough for you, I don't know what else. But so let's get to a spiral, okay? Let's this drops on April 11th. There's a bar you set, by the way. It's pretty high up there. You can't see it because it's so high. But this follows up 2021's Omega. Like I said, this is still in my rotation today. Someone, you've been through all this before. The challenges and conveniences on keeping things fresh after 9 albums. I mean, I'm not asking for a secret recipe or anything, but you guys have aged like fine wine. Do you feel pressure at this stage of your career when sitting down to write music again?
Yeah, we like to challenge ourselves,
Hmm.
and I think the strength of Epica is that we have five songwriters, and of course I'm the sixth when it comes to lyrics and vocal lines. So a lot of creative minds get together with different music styles, and
Yeah.
we had in between Omega and Aspiral, we had the little neutralizer project for us where we did this. It was kind of like a pandemic experiment
Yeah.
because that was created in that time in history that I guess a lot of people want to forget about. A lot of musicians couldn't go on tour, and then Isaac had the idea, why don't we start writing songs with our friends and colleagues in the metal scene? Nobody's on tour now. Everybody's going to go to the studio. And that's what we did. And we experimented musically and we learned a lot also working with other artists. And the feedback on that EP was really great. So we thought, let's continue this road for the full length album, Spiral. And when we got together in the beginning of the writing camps, we had a little listening session of all the demos that the guys have been working on. And there was so much material. And yeah, it was really great to have so many songs to choose from that we would then continue working further on. And eventually ending up on the album.
Listening to this album from like Cross the Divide to Obsidian Horror to Time to my personal favorite is the title track at the end. And I
Hmm.
think that's where you really shined. Um, I always think of the song Rivers when that dropped on Omega, which is my personal favorite too, which is like the least like
Metal
crazy song.
song.
Yeah, yeah. And but
Yeah.
my mom's a singer, so I pay attention to like vocal qualities and structures like that. So that's that. I mean, I broke the replay button on title track. I gotta applaud your bandmates too on this record because I wonder if there's that level of competitive nature between you or Isaac or Mark. Like you have to meet them here. In other words, you each of you are pushing each other to test your limits. I'm sure you guys always do that, right?
Yeah, I think six creative minds together, all with different personalities and musical preferences.
Yeah.
And then we have the
Clashing a lot.
referee.
A lot of
The,
minds
the
clashing.
referee in the whole bunch is our producer Joost, that kind of keeps all the creative chaos organized. And I think, I don't know, some band members might have a more competitive um, characteristic traits than others, but we are a democratic band and we vote, and everybody's opinion is heard and respected. So yeah, for me, what is really important is that the best songs come on the album. That the album, as its entirety needs to click, it needs to make sense. And it's not about who wrote the most songs on the
Hmm.
album, because in the end, we all do it together. And um, everybody has a different workflow as well. But since we did these writing camps, we were all together at the same time, at the same place, working on the songs. So we had a more structured way of working. And before that, with Omega, we already did this writing camp, but we only did it like for 1 week. This time it was
Hmm.
3 times a week. And we have our home studios, and I would often in the past just listen to the demos while I was getting ready. And if a melody came to my mind, I would record it on my phone. But
Yeah.
now I was sitting with the guys in the studio trying things, and we had this really cool and creative interaction where they said, "Oh, change it a little like this and that," and we could, make the creative process quicken up much faster like that, and you could feed off each other's creativity, which was really nice, and yeah, very very intimate process
And
we
it
we
sounds
had for Spiral.
and I love that you shared that because I feel like it's been reflected on the album as I heard it over and over. You got a favorite song on the album, Simone?
I have a couple, but I think the Great Saga of Existence is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Obsidian Heart and The Spiral, I think, are my top three.
I do this thing when I just can't believe how good it is. I just laugh, and I kept doing that with every track. It's like they did it again. Like, how are you gonna top this on the 10th one? Maybe we'll find out. But I'm busy with Aspiral. That's all I know. Shout out. I know we've done a bunch of shout outs, but shout out to Yost too, because he also worked on the previous. He produced the last album. He's doing
Yes.
a great job. I feel like you guys have found the seventh member, I guess, if you can even
Yeah.
call him that at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Joost, we cannot miss him anymore.
No, and a unique element that always stood out at me about Epica is always the lyricism throughout the album. And the title is derived from the eponymous bronze sculpture made by Polish sculptor, Polish, right?
Yes.
Painter, I got the name right here, Stanisław Szukalski? Did I say
Yes.
that? Yeah, back in 1965 to create You Must Destroy, which is really cool. And I feel like a big component of songwriting for a band like Epica really delves on themes, the weaves and pathways of like messages. And I heard that. So you feel the same way, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I think art inspires art. And for this
Yeah.
album, um, back in 2022, during the Sabaton tour,
Hmm.
Rob told me, you should watch this cool documentary on Netflix. It's called Struggle, which was about Stanisław Szukalski. And I did because,
Struggle.
on tour you have a lot of time to watch movies, documentaries, and a lot of time for that. And I love to do that. So, and when he said, you know what, I'm going to meet the people that made the documentary. Would you like to join? And I said, yeah, sure. I love to go out on excursions, sightseeing, and meeting new people while I'm being on tour. That's one of the perks also of being on traveling the world. And I got to see many of Stanislav Sokolski's art pieces, drawings. Yeah, and it was magical, and I loved it so much. And Rob told me like that he would love to write music inspired by the art from Sokolski, and he wasn't sure if he was going to use it for Epica or maybe another project. And I
Uh-huh.
told him, "Well, count me in. I would like to do it."
Oh my God,
So
another
fast
project.
forward to the writing camps when we were listening to all the demo tracks, he also included the song Spiral, and he wasn't sure if the band was gonna, like it or not, but we all
Hmm.
loved the song and the feeling, the vibe of it. So it ended up on the album, and I wrote a lyric inspired by the sculpture. And as we went on in the process of recording the album, finalizing the lyrics, and Rob, Mark, and I were also in close contact with the graphic designer, Erik Sant, who made the artwork, who also is a fan of Stanisław Szukalski because the graphic designer, he's also a sculptor. He's like a artist, Michelangelo from the
Wow.
21st century. And he really captured the message visually really well. And then we thought, maybe this album title needs to be a spiral. And that's a little bit how it went.
Okay, that's cool. Sorry, I'm taking notes as you're talking. You said Struggle? That's the name of the.
struggle. Yes.
Okay.
It should still be on Netflix.
No, I got it. I already found it. As you were talking, I was looking it up on my phone. No, I got you.
Multitasking.
No, seriously, I appreciate that. Art creates art. You mentioned that. I know we got about 5 minutes, but I'm just gonna end this here. But here's the thing, Simone. I know we covered a great deal. You're a busy woman, Simone. I don't know how you do it. I don't care how you do it. Just take care of yourself along the way. But I know we covered a great deal of topics in our conversation here. It's always great to have you back on. The discussions we've had are just so in-depth and enjoyable. You being so true to yourself and sharing your perspectives on IUF, you make my job easy. I mean, you're a familiar voice that has impacted my growth in this music, and I want to thank you for that. Truly, not just me, but you've seen the fans at your shows. I mean, that's the perfect example I can give you. And I think we're entering another important chapter in your career, and you're seeing results. Celebrate your successes along the way, because there's an inspiration in what you're doing, and I want to applaud you for that.
Thank you
As
so much.
no, thank you. And as I end this, if you were to give your 2003 self advice from this version that's sitting in front of me right now, what would it be?
Just keep swimming like the fish from Finding Nemo.
I had
But then it's just keep singing.
yeah, that's I'm gonna use that as a drop. That's a great piece of advice.
Just,
Do you have
just
any?
keep singing.
Just keep swimming. Do you have any last words, any shout outs, anything you'd like to plug in or mention as far as Epica and Aspiral before we finish things off here? You got a tour coming up in April 12th, I think. It kicks off in Paris. So
Yeah, we have the release experience in Paris and in Utrecht. That's a little bit like an Epica museum, Q&A, signing session, hangout with fans.
mhm.
And then we go to the US, Mexico. We have some summer festivals, Latin America, and our big co-headline tour with Amaranth in 2026, where Charlotte is also joining. So a lot of cool things to look forward to. And I hope that people love the album as much as we do. And thank you, everybody, for your support.
No, and thanks again. Maybe I see you in Texas. If not, I'm going to see you on that tour because I got 2026. I got time. Everyone, this is the amazing Simone from Epica. Aspiral drops April 11th on Nuclear Blast Records. You can check out this podcast on all major podcast platforms out there. Simone, nothing but the best. Much love. Thank you for just being so kind and so sweet on this podcast. And we'll stay in touch, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you very much. You take care.
All right. Bye bye.
Dive into a cosmic sea. Unravel all its mysteries. Navigate our spirits flying high as we join the endless.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to Interview Under Fire podcast. If you guys liked what you heard, please subscribe and share our channel. And please leave a 5-star review as that helps us tremendously. If you'd like to check out more, visit www.interviewunderfire.com or our social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And finally, we want to thank you all for the support you've been giving us. Keep it burning.